Welcome back, everybody. Brochure for the Nerds. I'm Billy back here, and I have my friend Dusty, who has actually done some. We talked about Mass Effect in one video. Remember
Yeah, I think
back
we did,
way
yeah.
back when. E3. So we started out with Starfield, and that comes out November 11th of next year, and it's going to be exclusive to Xbox on Game Pass. What did you think?
They didn't really show a whole lot, but I do have some high hopes for the game. I do hope that they kind of get this Bethesda theme where, it's a looter exploration game. So, that holds high hopes, and they do produce some of the best ones.
And it looks like they've upgraded their engine for this.
Yeah, they had the Creation Engine 2, if I saw that right in the video.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So that's a gigantic leap forward for them because they've been using the Creation Engine since I think around the release of Skyrim.
Yeah.
If not before.
Yeah. How big do you think the acquisition of Bethesda is for Xbox's studio being able to say this is an exclusive to Microsoft?
Big, big.
I do too. Yeah. I forget how much they spent, like $1 billion.
Somewhere close to that.
Yeah.
Sony, they have some great. They have great producers of games, but Xbox has needed some, and the acquisition of Bethesda has definitely helped them a lot because they do create some great single player.
I like both
story-driven games.
Yeah, I like both systems for what they are, but let's be honest here. PlayStation, last gen, PS4, it just destroyed Xbox, in my opinion, when it comes to like story. You have Horizon, Zero Dawn was there. You had God of War. You had The Last of Us. Last of Us 2 got Game of the Year actually last year, I believe it was. Yeah. A lot of people. I know one of our friends, Brian, didn't like it because he said the zombies weren't like regular zombies. From my understanding, they're not supposed to be though. So, but anyway, Starfield's good. Stalker 2, Heart of Chernobyl. This comes out April 28th of next year. I'd like to see a little more. It's on Game Pass, but it looked interesting, the Stalker thing, and they were sitting around a campfire just like talking, and it was a little bit of a longer just like talk, but they showed you different things in the game. So I want to see a little bit more as far as like what all you can do, but I haven't played the first Stalker.
Yeah, I don't ever remember hearing about the first Stalker, but it might have also been released a long time ago.
Right.
During the 360 and PS3 era.
We're starting to see games. Xbox has said for years, yeah, we're going to get games. Now we're finally starting to see it. They also showed Back for Blood, October 12th. Perfect time for Halloween. October is the best month to release that game. I was a big fan of Left 4 Dead series. Did you play Left 4 Dead?
Yeah, I played Left 4 Dead quite a bit with a couple of friends.
What did you think of the trailer? It looks like there's all types of things to fight.
As long as they keep the gameplay similar to the old Left 4 Dead games, I think it's going to be a big hit.
Yes.
Right off the bat.
And I like that it was different, and it feels like that it's not a copy of Left 4 Dead. It feels like it's more fast-paced, possibly, than what we saw.
Keep the same theme, but evolve it.
Yeah. Contraband was announced. We didn't really see much on that. Not enough for me to make an assessment on it.
Yeah.
They just kind of they just showed like a very brief thing where they're sitting around the room kind of frozen. The guy was working under the vehicle, and that was kind of it.
If I had to guess, it's probably going to be an open world game, where a lot of games are now going that route because a lot of games are having success.
I think it's the makers of Just Cause were involved.
Open
world for sure, it said. Sea of Thieves, A Pirate's Life. We heard the lady talking. The voice sounded familiar, but we didn't realize it was, I forget the name of the character from Pirates of the Caribbean. She was such a big character in World's End, and she grew really big at one point in the movies.
Yeah.
And then Dusty and I, that was the first game we're like, because Captain Jack Sparrow.
Yeah. You can't have a pirate game without Captain Jack Sparrow.
Sea of Thieves, I've liked it. I've played some, but it needed something to elevate it, and that comes out June 22nd of this year.
Oh, God, what is today, the 13th? That's 9 days away.
9 days away. So I need to start leveling up, becoming Pirate Legend, because when you become Pirate Legend, you have to have the song knowledge, but you unlock something in the floor to unlock Athena's fortune bounties, and they're like 6 or 7 step bounties, where you have to do all this different stuff just to get them. And you don't have to be a Pirate Legend of Access. You have to be in a party that has a Pirate Legend. You have to play the tune. You have to be level 50 with 3 different trading companies to get it. So I think
That's a
I'm in
lot
the
of play.
20s with some. Yeah, I'm not very high up with that. So that was good. Yazuka, Like a Dragon. I've never really played the games. I told you that I think there's an appeal for it, but I have not really played enough to make an assessment.
My doorbell.
Oh, so what did you? I mean, have you tried them?
No, they're just not my style of games. I mean, they look interesting.
They
I think they would
do.
be, they do have that Saints Row esque vibe where it's
This
quirky
one,
and funny.
yeah, it looked
There
like
was
it.
a point where they had a chicken shooting an egg from its behind.
Right.
So I mean, that was funny, but it's just not my style.
We'll see how that game hatches whenever it launches on the consoles. Battlefield 2042 comes out October 22nd this year. I wrote, it looks very tactical and it looked dynamic battles. You had the tornado that sucked up stuff. Um, I feel like Battlefield of the realistic shooting games may be the best one. I really think they have something going for them with
I've
this
been
one.
a fan of Battlefield since Bad Company 2. I haven't been like big into their multiplayer just because I wasn't big into that multiplayer scene until, well, I guess kind of recently. But I mean, I played Battlefield, Bad Company 2, played Battlefield 3, 4.
Did you play Hardline any?
A little bit, not a whole lot.
But 128 people?
hmm
That is on the Series X.
Well,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, that's going to be huge.
Yeah, I mean that's gonna be last time I can't remember the last time there was a game that big. I think it was on the PS3. I can't remember the name of it.
Oh, yes. Not Mercenaries. I know what you're talking.
Yeah,
Mag
Mag.
the game, and that
Yeah,
was a flop.
I think it was 128 players
I do too.
on each team. I think, or maybe 64. I can't really remember, but it was still large and it was kind of not great. But I remember playing the game. It was fun.
The lag must have been bad.
No, it was just the maps were too wide open, and I came in like near the end of the game's life when nobody was really playing.
Oh.
So I mean, and it wasn't really, I guess, publicized when it came out. So I mean, it had some awesome guns. It had awesome gameplay.
I want to see Killzone come back. But yeah, so it was good. So I think they're pretty ambitious. This one looks good. That comes out this year. 12 minutes, August 19th of this year. When they said James McAvoy and Daisy Ridley,
Where did James McAvoy come from?
he played Charles Xavier in X-Men, the younger Xavier.
Oh,
and,
okay,
And
okay.
Split, he was also in.
Yeah.
I haven't seen those. I heard they're great.
Mm-hmm.
But that cast, it looks like a time thing where you fail and then you have to keep going back and save the woman you're with and you. It looks like one of those games where it's like a time loop.
That's going to be an interesting game. It's just going to be one you have to sit down and play and see how you like.
Yeah, I think there's not enough information to make an assessment. If they show too much, I think you give away the whole game. So it's one of those games where you just have to play it. That one is, I think, Game Pass. Psychonauts 2, August 25th. It looks like an acid trip.
Yeah, that.
I think it'll be worth trying, though.
Yeah,
the first one was on original Xbox, from my understanding. So it's been that long. Remember. Jack Black did a song for it, and I remember seeing that last year. They showed something, but it looks interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it definitely looks interesting. The artwork is something I don't think I've seen in a game in a very long time.
That's why I want to try it.
But I think the story behind it would be pretty interesting.
I saw you do an eye roll at this next one, and I did too. Fallout 76, the update, July 7th. I'm sorry, but from what I heard, there were so many issues plaguing the game that it took away the enjoyment of it. I haven't played myself. The biggest problem I heard on day one was if someone was talking, you had to go through the whole list to find the person to mute. You mute it, and then it would start you back at the beginning of the list.
Yeah.
So it was just so hard.
Then like just crashes, bugs, and I mean, it does have the Fallout theme to it. It's your typical looter, exploration game. Like most Bethesda games are, but doesn't have the beauty of your single player games, which I guess you can take that, take back. You can take that, little beauty from it for multiplayer, with all your friends in a Bethesda world. But they didn't implement it right. They went live way too soon.
And maybe beta tested longer, I think.
No,
and more
they probably needed
feedback.
to wait about a year and a half, and
Okay.
probably use the Creation Engine 2 that they're coming out with Starfield with
We'll see. A
with
lot of
it.
the stuff we saw today, I felt like didn't look rushed. It actually looked like a lot of it
Hmm.
was well polished. They were taking their time. We saw with last gen games like I'm trying to think the name of the Anthem,
Hmm.
just were rushed and they just weren't as good as they could have been.
Yeah, well, EA has a terrible reputation of rushing every game. Look at Dragon Age Inquisition. It was rushed about, I think, a year too soon.
And now studios are
And
starting to take their time. But yeah, you're right about
well,
that.
COVID
EA,
was great for that. I mean, yeah, it hurt a lot of people, in their income
right?
streams, but for games, it gave them the time to like, okay, hey, let's see where this is
Right.
at. Let's develop it. Let's make it good before we just,
If you
try
wanted
to
to take
rush
a
it out to
nap,
people.
this was the point of the show to do it. There was a few clunkers in here. Then you had the
Hmm.
Elder Scrolls Online update. Now here's the thing: I played it kind of early, and I thought it had a lot of promise to it. There was a lot of
Hmm.
potential, but the missions felt rushed. It felt like they didn't have any meat to them. It was just like very,
Hmm.
very. And then you said about the finding places, the
Um,
map, the pinpointing. That was not very good.
yeah, I played it last year with a couple of friends, and it
Okay.
wasn't terrible. There was a lot of things you could do now, because they had all those expansions that they had.
Yes.
Elsewhere, Tamriel finally came
Didn't
out.
they do something with Morrowind? I believe as well on there, like
Yeah,
an expansion.
Morrowind's
Okay.
there. The place where you play that in Skyrim is there, but 1,000 years before the events of Skyrim. Now with Blackwood, this new
Yes.
expansion, it's 800 years before the events of Skyrim,
Okay.
or Oblivion.
Something like that. Yeah, I loved Oblivion.
Don't
I
quote
played the
me.
hell out of that. That was a good. Then we had party animals. You see gorillas and other animals headbutting
That.
each other. It looks like one of those like worms where
Hmm.
you sit around with your friends and you just want to kill
Yeah,
some
exactly
time and
like
have a good
worms.
time.
Yeah,
Just beating the hell out of each other. But then we saw animals headbutting. We saw an animal pick up another animal, throw them into like a fire pit.
yeah, like
It's pretty
incinerator almost.
barbaric.
Yeah,
Yeah.
looks interesting.
A lot of burnt hair smell. Then we had Hades. It was August 13th this year. An arcade fighter I wrote down. It was kind of, you thought it looked kind of
It
interesting.
looked interesting. Yeah, it has that old, yeah, arcade looking, kind of almost like a Diablo esque looking down on the battlefield type look. But I think you only play one person. I
Yes,
guess the character's name is Hades, or
yes.
that's the villain's name. Who knows?
Who knows
But
for sure. Then we had Somerville 2022. I don't really remember much about that. I just wrote down the name of it.
that's the one where it had those spires falling from the sky with the
Right,
purple light that
right.
sucks things up.
Yep. Okay. That looked okay.
That looks interesting. It's definitely a different style of game.
And I will say well, I'll say it at the end. Halo Infinite. This is where I woke up because they had the multiplayer looked smooth. It looked
Hmm.
like it went back to more of its old what made Halo Reach and 3 so popular with multiplayer.
Hmm.
It actually looks like they're going back to their origins a little bit more.
Yeah, that it definitely looks like it's going in the right direction. I played Halo 5 a wee bit. Um,
I enjoyed the story for what
the
it
story
was,
was good, yeah, for what it
but the
was.
multiplayer still felt too much like a Call of Duty ripoff, in my opinion. They were better than 4.
Hmm.
4 was like a Call of Duty copy, in my opinion. 5 kind of went back to the origins a little bit, but I felt like they waited too long to add other features. It was like a year after they started adding more gameplay modes.
Yeah, that kind of hurts the game. You can't release a game too early, or at least
Right.
you can't unveil a multiplayer with only like three modes, unless you
Exactly.
like say,
Exactly.
hey, these are the three modes, and I mean this is all we're gonna do, but we're gonna do events in these modes, or whatever you want to
Uh,
do with those modes.
yeah, if
But
you're gonna, I would say your window of opportunity, like the first 3 to 6 months, you
hmm
really need to be saying we're gonna be adding something once a month. We're just gonna add a new mode. Cool, but
or you could be like Tom Clancy's The Division and have a complete and utter revival by the end of the game's
or
life,
you
right
could just
before
have the
Division 2 came
story
out.
come out and then add the multiplayer later too. It looks like from what they're saying, this holiday you will have Halo Infinite multiplayer and story on Game Pass. I saw you perk up with this next one. September 23rd of this year is Diablo 2 remastered.
Yes, that was the one game I've been looking for to find like the original PC version of it. I You can't find because the one that has all the DLC for it that's renowned. It's expensive to find all that stuff. Now they're just
Right.
coming out and remastering it, and it's going to be a lot cheaper than the original PC version. and their Resurrection version's coming out on PC as
I
well.
want to play it. Didn't they say you could have update player? I believe they said that at one point. I believe so.
Not real sure, but I just know it's going to be fun.
It'll be fun. Plague Requiem.
I'm not sure about that game.
Yeah, I kind of want to see more before I make an assessment. Sometimes you just don't have enough information to really gauge where you're at. Okay, next was Far Cry 6, October 7th of this year, and the villain looks like an actual villain.
Yeah,
he acts like a villain. His son Diego is more compassionate, so I'm guessing part of the plot is going to be him trying to corrupt his son.
It seems like the villain's almost going back to the Far Cry 3 and 4-esque villain. Because 3, you had a villain that was probably the best in the series, by far.
Mm-hmm.
Then 4 was one that you didn't even have to play to see him as a villain. You can just sit there and stay at the table. And
I remember that.
You stay there at the
For
table.
like a half hour?
15 minutes or
15
so.
minutes, yeah.
Then he comes back, and then he takes you to your mom's, or where you're going to put your mom, or you can just get up from the table and go through the game, like pretty sure like 90% of everybody did first time, and then you basically end right where you're going to, end without leaving the table.
Gotcha.
So who knows about this? But the villain looks good. The gameplay looks awesome.
Yes, and just all the different options that you have available to you. I'm wondering if there's going to be an ally system like in 5 where you can get different allies to come join you in your battle.
I hope the vehicle range that they had in Far Cry 5 is I think they did well in Far Cry 5. Comes back to 6. But they showcase the tank you can drive, which is awesome.
Yes.
That's, for where it is, awesome.
The story looks great. We had Slime Rancher 2.
That was not me.
No, I could see the appeal. I think it'd be more for kids.
Yes. Or, if you just wanted something to throw away time.
Yeah, it might be a good time kill. Shredders was after that.
Oh, yeah,
that comes out this December.
Snowboarding game, yeah.
And I tell you what, actually, it looks fun.
Yeah.
Every now and then you just want that game where you can spend an hour or two just kind of messing around. That seems like that type of game. It might not be something I sink a lot of time into, but you never know. Atomic Heart, it just said Game Pass. Didn't announce a date or anything, so we didn't really see much of it.
That looked interesting. I know we're saying that a lot, but there was just not a whole lot of details.
There was a lot of variety, a little bit of something for everybody, which we had talked about was kind of Xbox's strength. I was so disappointed. We haven't seen anything. I know it didn't do as well as they wanted, but I would have loved to have seen Sunset Overdrive 2. Would have loved to have seen that announcement.
I never really played that game, so I couldn't really...
It's like Tony Hawk meets mutant killing game. Where you can skate around and rails, and you had all kinds of fun stuff. Then we had Replaced. Once again, they didn't really show us much. They just kind of said, "Here's Replaced." Kind of went on. Grounded. You had played a little bit of it.
I never really played it. A couple of my friends have.
Okay. Looks like they're trying to make it more interesting.
And from what I can tell, they are listening to their player base, which you don't get a lot of developers actually
right.
doing.
Among Us update. Now, let me tell you this. I know there at the end, it was kind of dying, and then all of a sudden, it just became massive. And I remember watching some people on Twitch streaming it, and at work playing on their phone on break, and it just became huge. They were going to make a sequel because they didn't have any momentum. Then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, it blew up. And then I saw the appeal. It's not an hour-long game. You could get in the game and do a game in like 10, 15 minutes, I want to say.
Really?
Yeah, because like what you're doing is you're doing tasks. Some are two-part. If you're an imposter, you're trying to make it look like you're doing tasks. And one is just you one-on-one, you kill somebody. And then they have to vote. Everybody talks. You get like a 90-second timer, and then you cast your vote. And then if you're right, the imposter is revealed and they're kicked out of the game. If you're wrong, the person that was innocent that got voted out is gone, and the killers are still there. And you have up 2 or 3 killers per game. So you're trying to figure out who the imposter is. And you win if you vote out, but the imposters win if you can't figure out who the killer is. They said 15-player lobbies now instead of 8. They're going to 15.
That's going to be interesting.
You had one I tried to write down, but I was trying to write quick. It was that Eden, I'm not even going to try to say it, Chronicle Rising.
Oh, yeah.
They have one coming in 2022, one coming in 2023.
Yeah, the Rising one is 2022, and the 100 Heroes is
2023.
2023.
Right.
Uh,
What'd you think? I felt like, once again, we didn't get enough information to kind of make a good opinion on it.
yeah, I'm gonna probably agree with you there. I don't remember too much of it.
No, The Ascent, July 29th. Right. It's, yeah, coming out this year.
Hmm.
And
That one looks like another. It's a shooter, but it looks like it's over the battlefield look that
yes,
you and multiple people can play, which I think will bring a lot different gameplay scenarios than some people think.
yeah, it could be interesting. Age of Empires 4, only on PC, October 28th. I've been looking for an army playing game. I just have this laptop. I don't have like a high-end PC, but it looks like something you might be able to just have fun with, build an army.
Hmm.
And it said something about changing like history. Like
Yeah,
that would be really
I know
cool.
with Age of Empires, if you ever played any of them, like you start real early, in the Empire or wherever you want to start, then you just build up through the ages, and you just keep going,
That
keep
is
going.
cool. We had the Outer Worlds too. First we were treated to these great graphics. I'm like, what is this? And you and I, neither one were like, huh. Then it's the Outer Worlds 2, and I'm like, whoa,
It
they looked really good.
it was funny how they were dissing the entire preview of it the entire time.
Yes, they were making jokes, and they said we don't really have much ready yet, and they kind of made it fun.
Hmm.
So I appreciate someone that can kind of make fun of themselves a little bit,
Yes,
and they're
that.
not rushing it because they didn't give us a date. So I think they're allowed to breathe maybe on this one, because that's
Hmm.
the thing we learned from last gen. There were too many games they tried to rush. It's better to just take that extra couple of years to get it fleshed out and make it an actual good
Prime
game.
example of it is Anthem.
I
Example.
loved the story for the main game, but the in-game
Hmm.
content was repeating missions over and over.
The past the story, there was no game. I
I'll agree
mean,
with you on
you could
that.
finish the game at like level
I think
25.
they finally abandoned it.
Yeah, they did. The Anthem Next was supposed to
And I
be
was
was in
gonna
development,
try
but
to do it.
then EA shut all develop it on it down. Like like to do on most things that don't succeed. But the reason why most of their games don't, publishers don't succeed is because they rush them. Look at what was it? Mass Effect Andromeda. They were
Overall,
in.
I still thought the game was actually not bad.
No, it looked visually it was appealing. It was
And the
supposed to
story
be
was
a randomly
interesting.
generated universe, but then EA was like, or one of the studios was like, no, it has to be this way. No, it has to be this way. That game was developed in 18 months. That we all got.
I
18
think that
months.
was that Montreal?
I think Montreal was
And
developing
then what
that.
happened was every time they would try to change, they're like, here's complete freedom. But then every time they would try to change something, they would have to get permission from the head studio. My question is, why didn't the head studio come in and actually do it?
Yeah, and
What's the
it's
point?
it's frustrating because it was Mass Effect 3 ending sucked.
Let's be honest, they
It was,
crapped on their
I mean,
fans.
it was almost like Game of Thrones season 8.
Yeah,
That was terrible.
it was.
And
Like my paper jokes.
ooh,
But yeah,
but
it was, and it didn't live up to the. And we know you and I both played Mass Effect, and we fell in love with those games.
oh yeah,
And when I saw the trailer for the next Mass Effect, I'm like, all right, I told you. I said they better get it right this time because I feel like the fan base are this close to wanting to divorce EA. If EA, the last couple of Star Wars games they made were actually
hmm
really solid.
yeah.
If they were to continue to make quality games, take their time, enough with the microtransactions, you're gonna have more gamers that are gonna buy your game.
I mean, EA has to get away from the microtransactions, but they
Period. It
make
has
too much
killed
money
them.
from it.
Yeah.
So they're trying to do it with all their games, and it's not going to work.
Yeah.
I mean,
I
look
miss the
at
old school days of just unlocking everything in game.
yeah, like Gears of War 3. Like all you have to do is play through the game, do certain things inside the game, and then you get
Do
things.
you think the like the negative backlash received, do you think a lot of these games are starting to quit with the microtransactions? I mean, I have no problem paying for DLC if it actually, like Witcher 3. Great DLC, adds about 50 hours of gameplay for both DLC. Perfect. But to pay for something that doesn't really add much value to the game, I just don't justify doing it anymore.
The one thing I don't like that I've been seeing in recent years is a game is published and released 70% done.
And then you have to pay for the
Well,
rest of the
then,
base game for DLC.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's like, why?
Because we
Take the
want
extra
money.
time, develop it. If you have to raise the cost of a game, fine. We know it takes more to develop a game
I
now.
have discussed this with Adam, and he agrees with me on this. Instead of charge, you can have $60 for the game, or 80, counting the season pass that's going to have everything. I would rather pay a little bit more up front, knowing the game is finished. I know they have talked about on PlayStation, some of the next gen games are $70 of 60. My Xbox is saying keep it where it is, 60 is fine, but if you want to ask more, they're leaving it up to the individual studio rather than saying we're going to raise it to 70.
I mean, look at from like when PS2 and the original Xbox were around, they were $50 games.
Right.
Then when the 360 and the PS3 came out, they were $60 games.
And we've stayed at 60 for a while.
And that was fine, but then when the PS4 and Xbox One came out, they were still 60, which was nice, but with the increased technology comes, there's a lot more steps to go, that goes along, more coding, more development that goes along with it, but you've seen more games have more bugs.
Right.
Which, more technology, more open world things, more, minute things that you have to deal with.
Bigger scale issues. We have 3 more games to get to, then we'll do a few more thoughts. Microsoft Flight Simulator, July 27th of this year. I have said this. It looks great. I've been wondering, when's it coming to console? When's it coming to console? Well, today we finally got the answer. You can go anywhere you want. And I think just preliminary, go fly around, see what places, like say there are places I want to go to tourist-wise, places you want to go to, just get a little preview, see what it looks like. Kind of say, yeah, or meh.
I think that's, awesome, like, especially, like, if you're not really a big, video game player, but you'd still like to go explore the world. Well, this gives you almost real-time
My question is,
size,
when we
if that
land,
makes sense.
will we get to get out and walk around the places?
No, it's only flights.
Okay, that's fine. It'll give you an idea of the general kind of landscape and stuff.
I mean, and if that's, the case, you can land on a airport, somewhere near where you want to go, get a smaller plane, like a little dinghy, and just fly around the country,
That's a good idea.
Slower speed than, your 747 would.
Right.
It goes 700 miles an hour.
I'm curious to see what it's like. I'm ready to play that. Next, we had something that made you go, oh my god. November 9th this year, you can play Forza Horizon 5. They're going to Mexico. And graphics-wise, and the events, the pinata,
the pinatas were awesome.
like just doing little things like that just adds so much more value and replayability to your game. If you want to get online with a few friends and say, I don't feel like doing a real race. Okay, let's team up and take out some pinatas.
Yeah, I was
only if they give us candy.
I was kind of hoping it was the next Forza game from Turn 10, but that wasn't the case, which was fine. I do enjoy the Horizon games. They do give you a little bit more arcade-ish play than, your normal Forza games.
What's your experience been like with Forza overall?
Forza, by far, is the best racing game that's been around. I mean, some can say Gran Turismo was better.
It's pretty good, too.
But for real drivability, Forza's better. You get more of the realistic...
The ray tracing they're doing
the Unreal
now.
Engine
oh my
use,
god! And now him and I are like, when can we get our hands on the console? I want the next gen.
Yeah, the console situation is something that has to be addressed.
Fix that. And the last thing, Phil Spencer did his wrap up stuff, and then he said, "Here's a new game, summer 2022. We are getting Redfall. Oh my god,
that looks awesome.
The vampires, and then you had the sniper, and you had the girl that could like lift up through the little." Building thing. Yeah. It just looks so good.
Yeah,
and because we weren't expecting it. Okay, first of all, overall the presentation, thumbs up, thumbs down, or kind of in the middle?
Thumbs up. They showed a lot of good things. They showed a lot of games. Halo Infinite finally is coming out. A year late, but finally coming out. I'm guessing
the fans said they didn't like the graphics of the enemies and the characters. That's why they part of the delay was a graphic improvement. They were going more of the Halo 1 art style. The fans said we don't want that. So
I mean, I can understand that. That is 20 years old, or at the time it was 19 years old. But now, I mean, it's okay to go retro in the look. But I mean, I can understand why some people, a lot of games are going the 4K look, 60 frames per second, if not 120 if they can push it. But I mean, it's going to look beautiful. It's going to be a gigantic world,
Which is great because we've gotten all this technology invested in 4K, and we have yet to be able to fully utilize it to its full capability, which is what the Series X will do. I'm going to give it a thumbs up too. I thought there was something here for everybody. If you're a racing fan, if you want time killers, if you like Sea of Thieves, if you want something different, there was
I think Sea of Thieves is going to be awesome to play.
Yeah.
Now, I wish they would expand on the ship selection, so you can have more people play with you.
They've been doing a lot more with the skins, but I would like to see teams. Like I have a ship, you have a ship, and we can play together with two different ships and have like a full on, like almost like your own home island to spawn on, kind of like a team. You could have like say me, you, and a couple of other friends.
You know, like or a private server. You know, like in like. I know I'm not a big fan of Fallout 76, you know, but you can still have your own server, play on your own map, you know, and explore that. Sea Thieves could also do something like that, you know, where you can get your own server, you know, play, you know, so you don't have to worry about, you know, you don't have to worry about the PvP side of it, instead of, you know, and just focus on the PvE side of it, you know, where it's focused, but still people can come around and loot your ship, you know, demolish you.
I agree with that.
But, you know, if that's something they don't want to do, it's fine. But, you know,
they say they don't plan on it because they want the PvP thing. Like, the idea someone can steal your loot to be a big part of the game.
Yeah, it is called CFA.
But if you get on there at certain times, there's a lot of ships. I've been on there at times where there's nobody. So it just depends on the time of the day, what's going on. One thing I will say, this show added value to Game Pass. It made Game Pass. It made you say yes. And, you know, they've been saying for years the games are on their way. The games, well, finally, the games really are here and on their way. And I think overall it was a solid presentation. And there are other games we didn't see that I think we'll see next year. So we have a lot of time. The next Gears, you know, I said something new. I'm hoping to see Gears 6. And
PAX East is still to come. And maybe Gears wasn't ready for this. Some of those games probably weren't ready for this presentation.
I think E3 next year we'll see more of Avowed. I think we'll see more of. But overall, solid presentation. The question is, when can we get our hands? They need to address the shortage of consoles.
Yeah, well, the trend. What is it? That's in short supply.
They just approved to manufacture more of this part that they need. So they think it's still going to be another 6 months. So around end of December, early January, we should be able to start getting. And I'm patient enough because by then more titles will be out. But I know the Medium. I went to download it on Game Pass. Sorry, you can only download this on the Series S or X. So I'm like, well, okay.
Makes you almost want to spend the extra.
What? Okay, I'll just ask you a few more questions. We'll end this. But final thoughts here. We both said it was a good presentation. What do you think could be one of the more underrated, overlooked games from this presentation that could actually be a good game? Is there anything that you think that might actually be better than what people think? I'm looking at the list here, and I actually think 12 minutes, the verdict's still on that one. That one could be really good. And I actually think The Outer Worlds 2, I say keep your eyes open for that.
I think Outer Worlds 2, if they, you know, keep their mind open, or Redfall. You know, that looks really good. You know, I mean, I know it was the big, you know, surprise, you know, world's first look at it. But I think it was the world's first look at it. I'm not real sure.
Yeah.
I think that looks good. I think it could surprise a lot of people, you know. But obviously, give it too much hype, it could also let a lot of people down.
Right. Favorite game presented. That's the fun. What was your favorite game shown today?
Finally saw something on Starfield. Finally, because I know that's been around since almost the release of Fallout 4.
Yeah,
that's been hinted. You know, it's been in the rumor mill. It's like, oh, we're going to see something here. Oh, we're going to see something here.
And that's a big exclusive, you know, to be brought.
Yeah, that's a gigantic exclusive, especially if it's anywhere near good.
Mine was Redfall. I actually thought that the vampire thing I've always been a fan of, but they failed to make vampires good in a lot of games. There's been a lot of letdowns with vampires. I feel like it's finally there. I would have loved to have seen some werewolf stuff too thrown in there.
Yeah, but there's a lot of games that were revolving around vampires. It'd be nice to see something other than vampires in the supernatural realm being played in a video game, or even fought against in a video game.
But we only saw a small portion of the game, so
that could just be, you know. But the Redfall, you know, it kind of hints to a vampire-esque theme anyway.
Yeah, and the last thing I'll say, with all these studios signed, I feel like there's a lot of studios we didn't see anything from today, and I think that's good. Because let's say you have, I think they said, how many studios? 32? Something like that? Well, okay.
Somewhere around there.
Let's say it was that. Okay, if every year you get 10 studios make a game, then you could do a 3-year rotation where you see something every 3 to 4 years from a studio. So I like that we're starting to see more stuff finally getting release dates. A lot of stuff this year and next year. Some haven't been announced, but it tells me we're actually going to start having more games download and play on Game Pass. Game Pass is a good value. I call it kind of the Netflix for gaming.
Yeah.
And I feel like PlayStation has, and I don't like the PlayStation versus Xbox thing. I like both for certain things, but I feel like PlayStation needs something. I've heard they've done more free-to-play games like that, kind of like how Gold used to be, but they're behind on the technology and on like on the Game Pass deal. They don't really have, in my opinion, something as good.
I don't think there really should be, Sony versus Xbox anymore.
No, play on the platform you enjoy, where your friends are. Play the games you want. If you want both, get both.
And I'm not really a big fan of the non-crossplay games. Where you can't play with PlayStation, and PlayStation can't play with Xbox. That's old stuff now. I mean, you're getting too big of titles, with enough player base that let them both play together.
Right.
It's like trying to limit, like, if you have, like, say, an ROG computer, you can't play with a Lenovo computer.
Right.
It's like, no, it's the same game. Let them play. It's just a click of the button.
MLB The Show did crossplay. Is that something you would like to see more of than the crossplay thing?
Yes, by far.
I do too. We shouldn't limit the gamer because of their console. It's, hey, you might have friends on both. Why should you have to buy both?
Mm-hmm.
Why can't you? Well, what I said, though, is I would love to see Horizon on PC. I would buy a PC, honestly, just to be able to play Horizon Zero Dawn, Horizon Forbidden West, because the games look. Oh, you let me play a little bit of Horizon Zero Dawn. I was tired that day, so I fell asleep, but I did get to play a little bit of it, and I would like to see more cross-platform, because, like you said, it's getting to where you're literally limiting your players to we can only play what's on this console. The cross-play needs to be implemented more. So we'll see what happens, but I would like to see that become a trend. Less microtransactions, more emphasis on crossplay. I think if you see that in the next, say, 5 years, becomes a bigger thing. It could really help every console. Everybody wins, and why don't you want to see every system succeed? I want to see PlayStation, Xbox, Nintendo, all succeed.
For like the example of crossplay, I think I'm backtracking a little bit. Like, for example, I know it's not a very big game. It's free to play. It's World of Tanks. They implemented crossplay a couple updates ago.
How did that go?
The multiplayer base isn't the most welcoming by far. I've been a part of it since when it came to consoles, and 7 years ago.
Was it in beta first?
Yeah, it was in beta first. It's been on. It was on PC in 2010. Beta in 2010. Came to consoles 7 years ago, and full game in January 7 years ago, so 14. So in 2013, I guess December of 2013, it was or maybe November as well, it was in beta, and I played it. I played a lot of it. I've been playing on and off that game since it came out, but then just the player base was dwindling, so then they finally made it crossplay. I think it's wonderful because you don't get just like one type of gamers, playing one way. You get a vast amount of gameplay, styles all in one. And some consoles might play, some people on one console might play one way, and on the other they play a different way. Some might be more aggressive, some might be more passive. Like on the PC version of it, it's a lot more passive.
Right.
They do have, it's a different game, but it's still relatively the same. But just one example of cross-platform. I mean, even most Call of Duty games now are cross-platform.
Yes.
Which I would commend them for doing that because it expands their player base.
Right.
They recognize it's the same game.
It is.
You shouldn't be limited.
You're still making money no matter what console they're buying.
And you can also turn cross-platform off. You can play with PC, and if you're on Xbox, you play with your PlayStation, or if you're on PlayStation, you can play with PC and Xbox.
I do have one question to ask you though. Sony has not been at E3 now for a while. They say that they don't really see the point of going there. Do you think they're missing out on, because I think they have their own show now at a different time, but do you think they're missing out with the big platform as E3 has?
Yeah. It's a bad decision. Go.
I do too. I mean, they have good games. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Like I told you, I want to play Horizon Forbidden West. I want to go back and I actually thought about getting a PS4 just to go back and play Horizon Zero Dawn, Last of Us, God of War, The Last Guardian, those kind of games. I feel like that they're missing out on an opportunity to get a bigger audience. I know they have a big following in Japan, and I know that they do really well, so maybe they don't need it. But as a gamer, I still would like to see what both are offering. And it's not more of which one's better, because honestly, just buy both consoles if you want to play enough games. I won't buy a console for one game, but if there's
I mean, if the game is that good,
if it's going to be a long game that you're going to spend, you could spend a year or two on, like something like Skyrim, okay? If that was the biggest game that they had on that console, and there was going to be another big hit for a year, you could spend a year in Skyrim. You know what I mean?
You could spend 10 years in Skyrim.
Right.
Some people
but that's what, like, you know, say a console comes out brand new. As long as you have that one initial hit to keep you busy for 6 months to a year, and then while other stuff's coming out. I think now after today, I can say the Series X is worth buying. Before I was I was like, eventually I want to get it, but now it's more urgent. Like, okay, now I really want to get it because of Starfield, because of Halo, because of all the stuff they just announced.
I mean, with Game Pass being $15 a month,
right?
You're paying, what is it, 100? No, what is it?
Well, 150 would be 10 months.
Yeah, so then
180.
Yeah, 180 for a year, but that's 3 games. There's way more than 3 games a year that come out.
And they also have the deal where if you do a credit check or whatever, you can get the Series X or the Series S and Game Pass for, I think it's a 2-year deal you paid off.
Yeah,
and you get Game Pass
Series X is like 26 or 25 a month, and the Series X is like 30, 34.
And that's including Game Pass, so that's a good way to go. But the problem is, if you go to a store right now, your chances of finding a Series X in store, or even a PS5, either one, is just so low right now.
PS5 is worse than the Series X. People want the PS5. Which, I mean, more power to them, but,
So overall, good presentation. I always like Phil Spencer. I feel like he knows gamers because he himself games more. I feel like after he kind of became more of their head person.
When did he take over?
Do you remember when Xbox One was going to launch and they were talking about how you wouldn't be able to like do trade-in and stuff? Like, it was a disaster.
I don't remember that.
It was a launch disaster. When the one was getting ready to come out, because what the E3 was he was talking to the developers more in this retail. Well, gamers took it the wrong way, and he didn't explain it right. After that, Xbox about died. They got rid of him, brought Phil Spencer in. So I want to say he's been in since, like, when did the one come out?
13.
So I want to say like 14 or 15 is when he came in initially.
No, it came out in 13.
I want to say 14 or 15 is where he really took a big role. And you see Phil Spencer in a lot of his videos. He had the Series S in the background in one video on his shelf, and he likes to tease stuff when he does videos at home. I think he's a real cool dude, and I think he doesn't really hold as many secrets, and he's more hands-on with the studios. But I think now they're not rushing games because look what happened to Scalebound. It got rushed. The guy had a nervous breakdown. They canceled it.
Man, I wish they'd bring that game back.
If they in secret developed it, another game I'm looking forward to. I know we're getting time here, but I want to see more of Harry Potter Hogwarts Legacy. Or not, it's not Harry Potter's Hogwarts Legacy.
Yeah, I think so.
It's 100 years before Harry's time. And you get to make your own student, and you have your own story to go on. Okay. So there's a lot of good games coming out in the future. I think we're finally going to, because him and I really haven't been playing multiplayer together a lot, but it's just there's not that many good games out right now for multiplayer.
No, there's
So once something comes out that, like Halo, we'll probably play them. I'll probably go through the story with you on that and Back 4 Blood. And then we did watch, what's it called? Square Enix.
Yeah,
Life is Strange impressed me. I'm a big fan of that. I like the original. You get the remaster if you buy the Ultimate Edition of the new one. The Marvel, they've added Black Panther.
The Guardians of the Galaxy game.
Oh my god,
that was their probably best.
They spent 15 or 20 minutes on that, and it actually the humor was there of the Guardians. The story looks good,
and it's decision making too,
which I've been craving something like that. That's like Mass Effect, where your decisions make a difference. So overall, what we saw today was good. So we'll see what happens, but I think the gaming's starting to pick up again. I think COVID did help gaming in some ways.
Yeah, I think it did, and I hope to see that trend of how it helped the developers continues. Because I don't want to see the developers go right back to the way they were and just rushing games out. Cyberpunk, yeah, but we were also waiting for that since 2014. A 6-year development should not have released how it was.
No.
They promised so much more. And don't get me wrong, I enjoyed the game. I enjoyed
I enjoy it for what it is. I quit playing for a while because I was on a game-breaking bug on a certain mission.
Mm.
I want to go back eventually and see if they fix that, but I might just restart once next gen comes out because I bought it digitally and you get that rollover.
Yep, same
And
here.
I know something about Witcher is supposed to be remastered. Is it this year or next year?
Yeah, The Witcher 3 is supposed to be remastered, I think, next year, maybe? I think.
So I plan
I
on
haven't
playing it.
seen the dates on that, but I think it's next
I
year.
think CD Projekt Red learned a lot from Cyberpunk, and I hope they do something with Witcher 4.
Yeah, I do think that a lot of people overreacted, in my opinion. Yeah, they released it way too early. Now, to say it, I think people overreacted
I
on
do
it.
too. I thought overall, good game. There were issues. I had the most trouble with dialogue,
Hmm.
where you would talk to a character, they would say a line, then you ask someone else to say a line, but then the old line talks over it, so then you can't hear what the new line is. And that happened a lot with. I was talking to Pan Am, and
That didn't really happen with me.
it happened to me like 6 times within the same series of dialogue. And I went back, I reloaded, and came back in, same thing happened.
Yeah,
I played it though. I think that might have been like the first week it was out.
yeah, I have to go back and start playing because I know they've done a couple of big updates
Yep,
recently that fixed a
I
lot of
might
things.
restart the whole game from scratch. I don't know, just to play through it in one steady go
Hmm.
through.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I might continue where I'm at, and
I might too. I remember most of it.
I remember kind of
I'm in a
where I
game
left
breaking.
off.
I was in a game breaking mission where we have to leave the area just to get it. But anyways, we're getting off topic. Xbox had a good show.
Yes.
Take it easy, guys. We had my friend here today. Every now and then we'll have people on the channel, and it was good talking to him. And yeah, stay out of trouble or get in it. You know, whatever's more fun.
Wherever floats your goat.
Float your goat.
Yeah, float your goat.
Haven't heard that one before.